Sobrante. Okay, recording in progress. El Sobrante Municipal Advisory Council. This is a council which advises the Board of Supervisors of Contra Costa County. And so I'd like to just start off with a roll call. Edgar, can you do the roll call, please?
Yes. Give me 1 second. Okay. Tom Owens. I don't hear Tom. Sue Boudreau.
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 Boudreau. Sorry, Sue. Okay, Mickey Norris.
Here.
Okay, good. Thomas Lang.
Here.
James Herman. I don't hear James. George Cleveland.
Here.
Melinda McLean.
Here.
Emily Whelan. Shirley, sorry. Shirley
Here.
Rosenthal. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, here.
Yes. Good. Okay, that's everyone.
All right, so moving on. Can we have the treasurer's report, Edgar?
Yes, 3,000.
3,000, okay. So can we approve the minutes for the June meeting? I motion to approve. I can't see anything remiss, but that doesn't mean there isn't something remiss. So if anybody has any comments about the June.
I'll second the motion, then we can talk about what needs to be done, if anything.
Okay. So
But where, I'm so sorry. I know I should have known how to find these, but where are they? Are they on
at
the
the bottom
county?
of the agenda.
At the bottom of the agenda. Okay. So I didn't have a chance to read.
A huge set of engineering drawings for our discussion item today, but if you page past those, you should see the agenda for Wednesday, June 8th.
And I should have put those in order. Sorry, Sue. I should have put them first, the minutes, and then the discussion items.
Okay, so we second the motion to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Wow, looks like a resounding victory for the approve the minutes camp. So, all right, that's great. So we can move to our presentations, our guest presentations. And so first on the docket is Lieutenant Rodriguez, commander of the base station.
Hi, how you guys doing this evening? Joining you guys from the road. I'll start off with the reports, and then we'll talk some of the current events that have been going on in El Sobrante and the west end of the county at large. It's been pretty busy these past few weeks. As far as calls for service for the month of July, we had 876 calls for service. It's a pretty good number of those calls for service. We generated 87 reports. And then our select crime trends held with last month. For the month of May, we had 24, month of June, 21, and the month of July, 21. There was a significant increase in July for commercial burglary. So in the months prior, we had, I believe, 4 in the month of June, and we saw 12 last month. So Dam Road continues to be an area that we're paying a lot more attention to, specifically during the graveyard shifts. And just logging extra patrols. I've also asked those on graveyard that if they're writing reports or they have downtime in between the security checks and things like that, to actually just write their reports in the parking lots of some of the businesses so that they're visible on Dam Road as more of a deterrent. I also met with Walgreens this morning in regards to their 2 properties on the west end and ways that both we can assist them and they can assist us in terms of deterring some of the crime, specifically the shoplifting. And what they're seeing and what we're seeing in terms of the reports is that it's not, your individual items. It's more of like a retail theft ring where they're coming in and they're targeting certain items that can be resold and just getting them at mass quantity. So some of the recommendations are specifically for the El Sobrante location is to extend the hours that the lights stay on in the parking lot there. That location in particular, we noticed that it gets targeted as it's very convenient to take El Portal to the freeway either way. Others is updating their camera system, and then also looking to reposition some of the items within the store so that things like the cosmetics and some of the items that are being targeted for resale aren't right at the front of the store and easily to walk out. Other items on the west end, things of note, last week we had a shooting. We believe the shooting was related, it was on Pebble Drive off of Appian. We believe it was related to a attempted catalytic converter theft. So the day prior, we had received a report of a interrupted catalytic converter theft on Rollingwood. And the following day, we got a shooting, and the information that we had, we believe the two were connected. It looks like it may have been a mistaken identity as far as the victim of the shooting goes. With that being said, we do have a suspect identified in that, and we are going to be looking to serve the arrest warrant for that case. So that's a good note. Other things that we've been dealing with and that were brought to my attention is last Friday, I responded to a call of a subject brandishing a firearm at some workers. There's a property off of Hillside and kind of the Castro Ranch area. And I guess it's broken into several parcels, several different owners. One of the first parcels recently sold, and I believe they're putting up some towers up there, some antenna or cell towers. They were up there working, and you'll have to forgive me, I forget the gentleman's name. He lives in a trailer on one of the other parcels, and apparently he brandished the workers. So we got the call of that. I responded out there during the area check. I happened to contact one of the neighbors further down on Hillside. Didn't match the description. The only thing that matched is that he had a dog similar in color as to what the dog of the suspect was described as. And as I was speaking to him, our suspect approached. We detained him. No violence, anything like that. But in speaking to the neighbor, I was told that he's a constant problem for folks when they go walking on the trails and things like that. My understanding from the deputies is that what we located were all airsoft guns, but they look real. And so he's on our radar. If you guys continue to have problems with him, please let us know as we're going to continue to pay some extra attention to him. Also, when talking to that same neighbor, I was advised of some of the issues on the access road to the trails, the fire access road. And it sounds like you guys are getting a lot of traffic over there for, suspicious activity. I would imagine either drug sales or people going over there and, hanging out and thinking it's a party spot. So I've asked our staff to increase patrols in that area and to log those. And then also I received a message from Edgar regarding the reports of a loud boom in kind of out in El Sobrante area, and some concerns. One, if it's gunshots, obviously, but then the other two is if it's fireworks, with the risk associated with the fire. So I did speak to our deputies. They are familiar. They said, when I asked, hey, do you know of a specific area? That same area that we're talking about now, as far as Castro Ranch, Hillside, that's one that we've received reports of prom shoots or suspicious circumstances with a loud boom being reported. So we'll continue to investigate that. As of now, we haven't located any evidence of fireworks or anybody with it. That doesn't mean it's not happening, but we'll continue that as well. So those are some of the updates that I have as of now, as far as how it relates to El Sobrante. I'll open it up to any questions at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll start off with questions from the council. Melinda?
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Rodriguez. The guy on Hillside, I live very close to there and walk down Hillside all the time with our dog and have friends on Hillside. He is a bit of a menace, and most of us kind of try to stay clear of him, but I'm glad he's on your radar because he seems to be getting increasingly hostile. And thanks also for trying to investigate those booms. As someone who hears them on a regular basis, I can tell you that they sound like they're on the other side of the damn road. That they're not on Hillside, but they're over probably more like well, they're on the Wildcat Canyon side of damn road. That's what it sounds like, but I have no idea. And so thanks for putting that on your radar, and thanks for everything. I would also like to just publicly thank you that I've got the report now from our burglary, and we're getting close to an insurance settlement, and I'm glad about that. And obviously, like everyone else, those of us who've been victims of wire thieves or of people who are stealing catalytic converters, your detective that I have been working with seems to be really working on this. So I'm hoping that maybe next month you all will have something special to report. I won't say more than that, other than just from being slightly on the inside as a victim. I think you all are really working on trying to catch these wire thieves, catalytic converter guys, because they are kind of one and the same. They're similar gangs, mostly because they fence what they steal at the same place. So thank you, and thank you for that report. That's really helpful. I'm sorry the numbers are up, but I appreciate your activities.
Yeah, no worries. I spoke with Detective Duran regarding your case, and I get where you're going. I appreciate the vagueness in regards to the information he shared, but it is a group effort. It's not just our agency, but multiple agencies. So hopefully we'll have more to share on that. But yeah, he did provide me with an update with your case. I'm glad that you're able to get the report and insurance is processing through. In your case, I think he shared with you. I won't go into all the details, but he did share with me some of the updates. So we'll continue to do what we can, and hopefully we're able to locate some property or some leads or suspects on it. So thank you.
With regard to the catalytic converters and wire, I imagine that you are in touch with the local, there's a metal place where you can sell metal, and there's one in Fremont that was also associated with fencing some of this stuff, and I know that there's one in Richmond. Are you in contact with those places as well?
Yeah, so the one in Fremont, that was a pretty in-depth operation. I think they recovered 300 catalytic converters. But yes, a lot of these places, there's a risk associated with it. I mean, the fines, you can imagine if you get caught with it, the fines are pretty significant. So that's why most upstanding businesses don't take the risk. The downside is getting that evidence to do it. One of the problems why catalytic converter thefts became so prevalent is the fact that most of them didn't have identifying information. So there's currently bills that are making their way kind of through the system. And whether or not they get signed off, I imagine they will, just with how prevalent the crimes are becoming. But to require that there be some sort of identifying marks on them. So hopefully that'll get signed off, and we'll see what comes of it. But just another resource and tool for us to help solve those crimes.
Yeah, I just wish, just a quick comment, I just wish people wouldn't go confront catalytic converter thieves, because your life isn't worth a piece of platinum. You know,
Yeah,
just-
yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, to that note, we had in Rodeo, we had a shooting, probably a couple weeks ago now, about 2 weeks ago, and that suspect's been identified. And he's also related to a separate shooting, but same thing. And that one, the person actually got shot. And then I was told today, the shooting that I briefed you guys on from June in El Sobrante, where the vehicle owner confronted that suspect and he fired one round at him. I'm told that we have a lead in that case as well. So hopefully we'll get close to putting a warrant in the system for that subject. So, you know, it's still, you know, catching them after the fact. I'd rather prevent it from happening. But you know, yeah, just the property's not worth it at all, you know, so I'd rather have folks be a good witness than be a victim of that violence. So.
I was wondering whether I could bring something that was at the end of the agenda, because you're here right now and it makes sense to ask you about shot spotters and shooter detection systems, which look jolly expensive because I just looked it up. But in terms of these loud booms, and because we constantly have trouble with fireworks, particularly around the end of June and obviously Independence Day, during fire season, I'm just wondering about where the sheriff's department is with that, and the city of Richmond and so on.
Yeah, so I know the city of Richmond has them. The sheriff's office doesn't currently have them. I'm somewhat familiar with them. I don't have a ton of background in terms of what companies are more reputable than others or things of that nature. I know how they work. Some of the problems with some of these services is that they're subscription based. So, you know, if it's grant projects or grant funding that the sheriff's office receives, whether it's through Homeland Security grants or, you know, UBERA, UASI grants, a lot of times those you can get the equipment, but there's not funding associated to get the subscriptions. And similar things are with the like license plate readers or the camera systems. And so that's one of the challenges that the sheriff's office has. So where we end up doing is just trying to assist the communities with you know, kind of giving some guidance as to, hey, we found these ones to be better. But of course, there's all kinds of other things that come into play with that, depending on the amount of funds and fair business practices as far as if you're going to put it out to bid, right? So that's another thing that has to take place. So
Is this
yeah,
something that
sheriff's office
if there was money, would you want this?
I think it's a use. I think it's a useful tool. I'd have to look more into it to see, you know, how successful. One of the things for us that it does is, I mean, it's pretty quick in reporting. So that's where the real benefit would be, is if there was a shooting right now, you know, within a quick turnaround time, we'd get the shot spotter activation before we get a call into the sheriff's office. So
yeah,
that's where it really helps us, is it takes away some of that delay time, and it makes it a little bit better for us actually catching somebody.
Right. The research I looked at said that there was an 80% reduction in gunfire and a 40% reduction in violent crime in some of the areas that this shot detection system was working in. But that, you know, we'd need a bit more data than that, because the cost was $60,000 to $90,000 per square mile.
Oh yeah, I wasn't aware of the cost.
Extremely expensive stuff.
Sounds very significant.
Right.
Okay, are there any further questions for Lieutenant Rodriguez? Okay, Lieutenant Rodriguez, thank you so much for your report and everything you and
It
the
looks like Chris Conrad.
Thomas, there is a question from
Okay.
Chris Conrad, Thomas.
Okay, sorry about that, Chris. Go ahead. Chris Conrad? Hello?
Mickey's yelling for him.
Yeah, Mickey's getting him to the getting him in. So I guess you can do that when it's your spouse. So
Okay, he's coming down. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it says I'm not muted, so I'm just going to come to here, which is, I was just wondering if there's any updates on that man who was shot over at La Honda and Avila a few months ago.
Actually, almost a year ago now.
Almost a year ago. Yeah, well, not too long ago, they said there was some, that they didn't think it was a random act and that they were expecting some news, but I haven't seen any news in the newspaper, so I wonder if you could tell us. I'm gonna try to get
No.
my working again.
No, I haven't been given that update. I can follow up and get back to you as far as with our investigators on that. But yeah, I haven't received an update regarding that case specifically.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, no worries.
Okay, further questions for Lieutenant Rodriguez? Well, if not, thank you so much for everything you do for the community, you and the Sheriff's Department. And we appreciate your report. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
So next on the line is presentation by the California Highway Patrol, Officer David Arias. I don't know, but it looks like Officer Leviste is here as well. So could we have the
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm having trouble starting my video, but I guess that's kind of irrelevant. Hey, I just wanted to say hello again. It's been a couple months since I've been able to join the MAC meeting here. I've been away from the area, not only training in Sacramento, I've also been training other areas. I've been in San Francisco for a few weeks training other motor officers. So it's nice to be back in the area. I just got back literally this week, so I haven't been brought up to speed as far as current events, unfortunately. So if there's any specific questions regarding specific events in the last couple months, I can leave my email in the chat, and if you can shoot me an email and I can answer any questions if there's that I might be able to answer regarding specific incidents these past few months. Current events as far as our office, we recently have been getting an influx of new officers, which is huge for us. If you might remember, a few months back, we were having issues with staffing. Our staffing was very, very low. And this past May, we had 7 new officers who graduated from the academy in Sacramento and started training. They recently got off their field training and are out on the road now. We had another 7 officers who graduated in June, who are currently in field training. And then we have another set of 7 officers who will start their field training next week. So we're going to be busy here training new officers, which is good and bad. Good in the sense that we have more bodies out in the road, but bad in the sense that it takes us a little while to get things that takes a typical road officer that might take them 15 minutes. For some of these new officers, it takes over an hour to do simple tasks. So just bear with us. We're slowly getting back up to speed and getting the bodies back in the road to obviously help the communities out there. Things that I was keeping an eye on while I was out. Parking complaints were coming my way, and I tried to deal with those accordingly as best as I could. If I couldn't deal with them myself, I assigned them to other officers that were working the area. If there are other parking complaints that you are aware of, please shoot me an email. I can take a look at that. Just prior to me leaving, we were dealing with a particular vehicle that was frequenting the area, playing loud music. I did attempt to make contact with the registered owner of that vehicle several times. I was unable, unfortunately, but I haven't received any new complaints. So I'm assuming that situation was resolved. And if it hasn't, please let me know so I can continue to kind of research that. The metering lights on the on-ramps. So I did do quite a bit of enforcement down there on El Portal on the on-ramps concerning the metering lights. Several of those citations went to traffic court. And I was not, the traffic commissioner tended to err on the side of the defendant, because those metering lights are cyclical. In other words, they kind of turn on and off, regardless if there's a car there or not. And the defendants were claiming that they were just trying to time it correctly, where they were going through the light when it was turned green. And there was some not confusion, but the commissioner would tend to side with the defendant, saying that, okay, there was really no gain per se by people running these lights, even if they missed it by half a second, because they weren't passing any other traffic. So unfortunately, I was unsuccessful in fighting with in traffic court with those particular violators. I think I lost a handful of those cases. That's something I'm going to have to bring up to the commissioner, maybe have a conversation with her and just express to her the concerns and the safety concerns specifically with those metering lights, and how they could lead to traffic accidents, for example. Fortunately, we haven't had any traffic accidents concerning those metering lights, but it is a potential, obviously. So that's something I'll have to bring up, and hopefully she'll start to see it from our perspective. Freeway cleanups. Before I left, I did send a message out to the Caltrans supervisor out here on the West County and inquiring if there was going to be any action, because I know that the eastbound El Portal off-ramp had been cleaned prior to me leaving, but I was inquiring about the on-ramp. I believe it had been cleaned, correct me if I'm wrong, while I was gone. I know there was also some cleanup done closer to the Rodeo area, over there by, Hercules, over on the Willow on-ramp to westbound, which were the two biggest areas of concern for us. Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe those have been cleaned up already. There were some transients that were living in the area, and I believe they were moved from those locations. I think that's all I've got. Oh, just to piggyback off of, there was a question about the shot spotter. I too don't have specific information about them, but I do have some. I've dealt with the shot spotter in the past. I believe that the shot spotter is very good at distinguishing between actual firearm fire and fireworks and other loud noises. I believe that was one of the concerns that Sue had. My experience with shot spotters, that the system is very good at distinguishing the difference. But unfortunately, I don't have any other information as far as pricing and the statistics. I think that's it. If there's any questions from the MAC or anybody else, I'm happy to answer.
Okay, thank you, Officer LaVista. Any questions for Officer LaVista from the MAC? Mickey?
I think George was ahead of me on this one, but you want to go ahead, George?
Well, I want to comment, but I'd like to do it in my role as a member of the public instead of on the MAC, if that's okay.
Okay.
So I yield to you.
Okay. All right. Well, that was a good question about the cleanup on the freeway. It's hard to tell because as soon as it's cleaned up, it seems to get messy again. So we don't really know. But does the CHP deal with the San Pablo Dam Road by the reservoir?
Yes. So we handle all the way up to Bear Creek, up to and including the intersection, but past the intersection, that would be Orinda.
Yeah. Could you put in a good word for cleaning up along the road there? There's so much litter that's accumulated over time, and I don't know who's going to clean it up. It'd be nice if Caltrans would do that, but if they don't, I think we could get volunteers to take it on if it was closed, or, during specific periods of time, if we can get like 2 hours for a segment, or something like that. I mean, it would just be nice to have that cleaned up after, lots
Sure.
of neglect.
What I'll do is tomorrow morning, I'll be working out that way, and I'll kind of document where the specific dump sites are, and I can forward that information to county roads. I can definitely do that.
Yeah, people tend to report the big dumps that are on the pullouts there, but along the road, there's just a lot of accumulated litter there, and it'd be nice if that can be dealt with somehow.
Sure. I'll definitely go out there tomorrow morning and take a look at it, and I'll give Caltrans, because usually what it takes is somebody to complain about it before, obviously, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? So I'll go out there tomorrow and I'll take a look, and I'll give them a heads up.
Thanks so much. That's great.
Okay, any further questions from the MAC?
I was
John?
gonna partially answer Mickey's question.
Okay,
So Mickey, the county maintains litter along San Pablo Dam Road. So there's two types. I've had meetings with the Bicycle Coalition and Public Works to do more of that sweeping along the bike lane in order to clear the bike lane of debris, which happened after the winter storms, when things would fall into that bike lane, because when that bike lane is not as passable, it moves the bikes into the lane of car traffic. So I've had meetings with Public Works and the bike community. So Public Works is aware of trying to keep the bike lane free of debris for the bikers. And then if you see litter along through there, you should report that in the same way that you report, more the heavy objects, right? Things that are blocking, to report it to as illegal dumping to Public Works, because they handle that. CHP doesn't do litter pickup generally. I mean, so County Public Works maintains that area.
Right, I wouldn't expect the CHP to do it. I'm talking more about the stuff that's accumulated in the bushes and the vegetation along the road that you could see. It's not blocking the people riding their bikes there, but there is quite a bit of accumulated just trashy stuff that's in the vegetation.
Yeah,
along
I mean,
the-
if it's off the right of way, and it depends where it is. If it's in the right of way, you should let the county know. And even if it's not, because if it's on out of the right of way in the vegetation, it may be on East Bay Mud property. So East Bay Mud would be responsible for that, but you should let the county know where it is, and they can report it to East Bay Mud.
Okay, it's the whole stretch pretty much. So that's
Yeah.
the thing. I mean, I can't just say, and how do we even know where it is? What are the markers that we can determine it when we do report it?
I think there are some mile markers, signs along the dam road. You can say it's between mile marker 7 and 8 or something like that.
I've never noticed that, so I'll keep an eye out for it, see if I can notice that at some point. But like I said, if they're not going to do it, and it's been years, and I've complained about this, well, mostly to County Public Works and at these meetings, and maybe it's not the right ones to report to. But like I said, if we would get the support of the area, I think the green teams would be happy to, take it leg by leg, for an hour, on a Saturday or something. If they could just block it off and make it safe for us to do it, I think we'd get volunteers to help, but because it seems like it's not happening otherwise. That's why I'm suggesting volunteers, but preferably, obviously, would be an agency like EB Mud or the county or somebody else to do it. It's just irritating because it's such a beautiful drive, and it really, makes it really detracts a lot from the area and the nature. That's it.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mickey. Any further questions for Officer Leviste? George, you had a question that you wanted to ask?
It's not a question, it's more a comment for Officer Leviste. I'm sorry you're going through this. That commissioner needs to have her head examined. Those who you ticketed, that giving that excuse, that's a crock of you know what. As someone who uses that particular off-ramp, on-ramp every time, because that's how I get to and from my house. And every time I use it, there's somebody running the red light, and it has nothing to do with, oh, it's red, oh, it's green, oh, it's red, oh, it's green. No, they're just running through it. And I see it on the other side, I'll call it the hilltop side, going down the hill to get onto 80 westbound, same thing. It's not the blinking green, red, green, red, green, red. It's people just flying through the red light. It's a problem coming home from work because the traffic is moving slowly. It moves slow as it is, but it's going uphill, so that increases the slow. So if you've got some fool trying to get on the freeway, barreling through a red light, it makes it really challenging for those that's trying to get off the freeway and get home. And in the morning commute, it's the same thing. It's worse because the cars are coming down hilltop, down the ramp from hilltop onto 80, and they're accelerating, picking up speed. And those of us who've got on the freeway from the other exit, the other entrance, are trying to move over to get out of the way. And it's a challenge because people are driving like idiots. So I think it would be, yes, you most definitely should have a conversation with that commissioner and tell her to wake the you-know-what up and pay attention, because if you're ticketing people, it's not that flashing green, red, green, red, green their job, because you wouldn't ticket them, because you would see it and you would realize it's hard. And you being an officer, like, you realize it was hard to time. These are people that you're ticketing because they're blowing straight through the red. So that's all. I just am concerned about my potential safety. Go just on the times I'm coming to and from home, so that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Cleveland, I appreciate your candor there. I mean, I obviously understand it from your side. I see the safety concern. I'm not gonna blame the commissioner for me not winning those cases. Maybe it's just me. I'm not articulating it properly in the trial. So I'm going to continue to work on it. I obviously understand that it is a safety concern. So it's still something that I'm paying attention to.
Just say they ran the red light, and it wasn't this red, green, red, green. It was a straight full red, and that's why you take it.
Well, yeah, the problem I ran into was because she frequents that area as well, and that was her personal experiences on those metering lights. So,
well, maybe when you go in, call me, and I'll be a character witness of what I experienced on the regular. Maybe that'll help.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, George. And are there further questions for Officer Leviste? So I guess not. Officer Leviste, again, thank you. We're glad to have you back in the area. Totally understand that you're investing your time in training new officers. I think it's a great investment, and I think we're all sure it'll pay off in the long term as we get, more trained CHP officers available to monitor these highway on-ramps. So yeah. Good to have you back, and thank you for your report.
Thank you everybody for having me, and I look forward to next month. Again, I'll put my email there in the chat, so that if there's any specific questions, you can just shoot me an email.
Okay, great, thank you. And so I think we'll move on to the next agenda item. Chief Getch from Contra Costa Fire will give his report.
Oh, Thomas, you're channeling your inner Barbara. It's because she always goofed it. His last name is pronounced Gage.
Gage, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Everybody does it. Hey, Chief Gage, how are you? Nice to see you.
Doing great, George. And don't worry, Chairman Lang. Every teacher my entire life had issues with my last name. So thank you very much. Confire appreciates the opportunity to present to the El Sobrante MAC. I'll just go right into our report. Chief Thomas had some computer problems, so you got me kind of on low preparation, but I'll do my best to sum up an update for the fire district and address any questions that the council may have. Many of you are probably aware we had a pretty significant marsh fire in the Pittsburgh area almost during the entire month of July. I'm really glad to report that we worked with a bunch of different agencies, including the private property owner who was super helpful. And we were able to flood that marsh area to put that fire out and mitigate a very significant smoke problem that was impacting many of our communities in East County. So I'm glad to report that that tactic to flood that marsh area was successful. We're still having a very tiny bit of smoke here and there, but it is like, I would say 99% better than it was. So that was a very good update for us. Also for Confire, we got through our 4th of July, we call it the crush of fires and incidents that we managed. I wanted to share a stat with you guys. I thought it was pretty impressive. Our communication center processed over 350 calls for service for fire and emergency medical service on the 4th of July alone. And during the 4th of July period, the 4-day period, we dispatched and responded to over 1,100 calls, which is about 2 to 3 times higher than our normal call volume. And most of those calls were for exterior fires, and most were fireworks related. But we were fortunate this year that the weather cooperated, and overall the relative humidity was a little bit higher than it can be. So many of those fires were influenced by that. So we appreciated that, but it wasn't due to lack of trying. The use of fireworks, all fireworks in Contra Costa County are illegal, but particularly the use of illegal fireworks was prevalent throughout the county. We did an upstaffing plan. We moved crews throughout the area, called back a bunch of chief officers. All of us came back during 4th of July, and I'm glad to report that we were overall very successful. We had one fire that extended to a home very quickly in Pittsburgh. No one was injured or killed, but unfortunately the house sustained significant damage. That actually occurred in my branch. I was assigned out to Battalion 8 that night, and that fire occurred 1 mile away from Fire Station 85. And the crew was on that fire really quickly, but the vegetation was so dry and the winds pushed it right into the house. And unfortunately, we sustained some significant damage to that home. But again, I'm glad to report that the residents of the home were able to evacuate effectively, and we had no injuries. Another update for us is we went through some very significant leadership changes here at Confire to take on the additional responsibilities that we've taken on with the expansion of the fire district, particularly into East County. So we promoted the assistant chief of operations to deputy chief, and we assigned 3 of our assistant chiefs out to the field to supervise our 3 shifts, A, B, and C shift. I'm glad to report that I was one of those assistant chiefs. So I've been reassigned to an operations position on C shift. I oversee the 5 battalions throughout the county on C shift, reporting up to the deputy chief of operations. So hopefully I'll be able to see everybody once we get back to an actual live audience, as many of my duties will take me out to West County. So we have 3 additional shift assistant chiefs that have been assigned to manage the leadership of the larger organization. We have also expanded our shift training captain operation, which is critical for responding as a safety officer for our incidents throughout the county, and also for providing training for our probationary personnel and new personnel that came out in East County. So we've not only expanded the stations that we provide service from, but we provided an expansion to the leadership and the support for those crews. A little more specific to West County is, and Supervisor Joya may cover this in a little more detail, but we are working very closely with the City of Pinole and the Pinole Fire Department to provide a contract for service for the City of Pinole. So the plan would be for Contra Costa Fire under contract. I'm sorry, can you hear me? Just thumbs up or, okay.
I can hear you.
We are going to provide service for the City of Pinole under contract. And that will That will enable the city of Pinole and the city of Pinole Fire Department to utilize Measure X funding and the resources from Contra Costa Fire to reopen Fire Station 74 out in the Pinole Valley. So the plan is in the early portion of 2023, if all the plans go as things are laying out, we will be the contract provider for fire protection in the city of Pinole. All the Pinole firefighters will come into Contra Costa County Fire and we'll be able to expand more service in West County. And as I've explained on many prior presentations, the healthier all of our different cities and fire districts within Battalion 7, the healthier we are in terms of response and ability to serve the public. So adding an additional engine company in Pinole will make Battalion 7 stronger. It'll bring an additional company into Battalion 7. So that'll take us from essentially when we were operating during the recession with 4 companies serving all of Pinole, Rodeo Hercules, and the Contra Costa Fire jurisdiction, El Sobrante and San Pablo, up to 6 companies that'll be available within West County. So that'll be a great improvement for the service delivery. One last thing, and then I'll take questions, is Contra Costa Fire just recently celebrated 25 years of providing paramedic service in the county. So we started our paramedic program back in 1997, and it has expanded to include every fire station within Contra Costa County Fire, all staffed 24-hour resources so all engines and trucks are staffed with first responder paramedics that are able to provide the highest level of emergency medical services throughout the entire area within Con Fire. Within about a year, we'll have all of the stations in East County upgraded to paramedic. So 2 out of the 4 stations currently within the East Contra Costa Fire District, which we now is within Con Fire, has been upgraded to ALS. And by next year, we'll be able to upgrade the other 2 stations and be able to have 100% ALS throughout the entire fire district. Thank you very much for your attention. I'd be happy to take any questions that the council might have.
Well, Chief Gage, thank you for your detailed report. And we'll take questions from the council members first. Any questions for Chief Gage? Okay.
I just want to thank Measure X funds. I want to thank the leadership of the fire department because I just feel safer, and I know that my neighbors are kind of losing their minds as it gets drier and drier here, and it's really wonderful to know that we have well-trained, well-led people ready to respond.
You're welcome. Thank you for the recognition.
Okay, if there are no further questions for Chief Gage, sir, thank you so much for your report and for everything you and Contra Costa County Fire do. It's just great to hear that we're being upstaffed, because that increased coverage, I think it's just really important for us. So thank you so much. And
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too. And so I think we can go into, I think I didn't see open agenda items. So we should probably we should probably go into that. So these are any open questions that either members of the board or members of the audience have, 2 minutes or less.
We still have the presentation segment.
Yeah, we want to hear from it.
Discussions.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just took an imaginative leap over the county presentation. So now we have Edgar on county items.
Thank you, Thomas.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. All right, so I will
Don't
start
read
off.
anything into it.
Yes. I will start off with yesterday's Board of Supervisors meetings. So one of the main discussion items was the reporting or discussing a reporting structure for the sheriff's office. So that's one of the big items that there was a lot of dialogue about, and I think the main point that got out of that, and I think is worth sharing, is that the board expressed support for more transparency across the board. However, John was the only one who voted for a civilian oversight board, which the sheriff's office would have to report quarterly to the public. And one of the main items to that was that the public will have subpoena power over the records. I don't know if John wants to talk a little bit more about that. John, is John here?
Yeah, I can just say a few words. So the Public Protection Committee of the board, which is Supervisor Anderson and Glover, made a recommendation about having the sheriff's office provide quarterly reports at the Board of Supervisors meetings regarding various reporting and issues under the jurisdiction of the Sheriff's Department. And that does move us in the right direction. What I indicated was that it didn't go far enough, and that there's a state law that passed about a couple of years ago that gives counties the ability to either appoint an inspector general or a civilian oversight board, which would also have review to provide oversight in the Sheriff's Department. And what I said is that is, I think, good government, and it's good regardless of who the sheriff is. It's just a good practice, and that a number of Bay Area counties either have that or are moving in that direction. And that the state law gives the inspector general or the civilian oversight board the ability to subpoena records if it wanted to look into particular issues, a power that the Board of Supervisors does not have today. So that was the discussion. There was a board member or two who said, well, we'll consider that depending on what happens with this quarterly review process. So that was the discussion at the board.
Thank you, John. And then I also want to report on, so next month on the 17th is going to be our annual coastal cleanup event, and that's in partnership with the Watershed Project, the City of Richmond, and Republic Services. It's going to be at Shamanda Park, which is in the marina. I wanted to just make a public announcement about that. We're finalizing the flyer, as well as we have an Eventbrite if folks want to register. We will provide some breakfast, for folks can eat, as well as snacks. And it's going to be a really good event. We have it every year, and we usually we're hoping around 200 to 300 volunteers. And it's about a global effort to, clean our coast and make sure that we're doing our part for the environment. Aside from that, so this weekend, there's a couple of events I wanted to share with the group. So on Saturday is the Solving One Life at a Time in the Veterans Foreign Wars Community Cookout and Backpack Giveaway. That's going to be at the Richmond Veterans Hall. And it's going to start at 11. It's going to go up to 5 p.m. And then in San Pablo is going to have their backpack giveaway is going to be hosted by the Kiwanis, the Club Kiwanis. And that's going to be from 10 to 3, I believe.
This is all in the in the newsletter coming around, because I can't keep up with all of those different things.
That's a good question. Let me see. I don't think I posted it on the newsletter. Did you get the newsletter, Sue? No, you're a part of our newsletter mailing list. I double checked, and then the newsletter went out.
When did it go out?
Last night.
Yeah, I think it's not in the El Sobrante newsletter, but it's going to be in the e-blast. We're sending out an e-blast in the next day or two that will list all of these things. So you'll get it in that.
Good. I'm kind of, okay, I'll follow up with Sue afterwards. I'm concerned if you're not getting our newsletters, because I checked and you are part of our contact list. Let's see. We're still providing COVID tests and providing masks. So if folks need COVID tests or masks, they can come to our office. There's 2 per box. And we want folks to, you know, I provided some at the East Richmond Heights Art and Music Festival, and there were a hot item. They went, there was a box of 45 boxes of tests, and that went that went gone in about an hour. So if you folks need some COVID tests, stop by here in the office. We have some. And then I wanted to quickly mention the San Pablo Diet Road study. I don't think I mentioned this before, but the Public Works Department is conducting a diet road study on San Pablo Dam Road. Essentially, what this means is that they're looking at, you know, creating these two, essentially a 4-lane road into a 3-lane road, and then the middle lane is going to be it's a lane designated for turning. And the range of that road study is from the Castle Ranch Road all the way up to Appian Way, possibly to Appian Way or May Road. So right now, the Public Works Department is finalizing the presentation, and hopefully, if not in September or in October, we can have the Public Works Department present that road study and the benefits from this change if it happens, and what are going to be the pros and cons, whether we have more you know, travel time or if it's safer, and the benefits of it, the cost benefits of it. And that's all I have. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, any questions for Edgar or Supervisor Joya on the county report? Melinda?
I just want to make a quick comment thanking John for looking towards getting a citizens oversight board of the Contra Costa Sheriff. Despite my positive comments earlier, I've had some really not positive experiences with the sheriff, and citizen oversight is the only way to go. And so thanks, John, for being the one holding that, you know, and let us know what we can do to help. I personally think it's an essential thing. I think it is a good governance thing, regardless of who the sheriff is. If we had the perfect sheriff tomorrow, who I loved from top to bottom, we would still need a citizens oversight board. So thanks, John, for fighting for that.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the concept that we have civilian oversight of the military, right? You know, we should have civilian oversight of the police. So any further questions? Thank you, Melinda, for your comment. Any further questions for Edgar or Supervisor Joya? Okay, so thank you both for the report and the comments. We'll move now to the next item, which is discussion items. So these are development plan applications, variance reports, etc. And we have one item to discuss. This is item 01041, approval of a variance to allow the construction of a new engineered retaining wall. And I was wondering if a representative of the applicant was available to.
Yes, I am. Bill
Okay,
Gibson.
perfect. Why don't you
design
walk
build
us through the
contractor.
why don't you walk us through the project?
Sure. This was a landslide that occurred on East Bay, the Parks Department, and it encroached into two property owners' backyard back in 2017, I believe. It's been through litigation, and this fix came out of litigation. Essentially, it's to put a wall along the property line to isolate the rear yards from this slide, being that the property owners cannot work on East Bay Park's land. So this is to protect and restore their yards, essentially.
Okay. I mean, it just seemed, you know, I don't know the details of the engineering, but it seemed like pretty solid engineering to me with 25-foot piers and yeah, I personally I don't see any issues with this, and so I would move to approve this application. Do I have a second, or is there any discussion or questions regarding this from the from the council or the audience?
Well, let's second the motion first, so.
Okay, I have a second for it, and just a comment that it was probably the best put together proposal I've seen so far.
Yeah.
I'll
second it.
Well,
Okay, so motion to approve.
aye.
Aye. Edgar, does it look unanimous?
It does.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Before
you,
you,
guys.
before you leave, will you make an effort to try not to do as little damage to the trees as you can reasonably get away with?
Yeah, reasonably get away with, yes, for sure.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So we can move to the next item, which I think will be short information reports by MAC members. Do any of the MAC members have information reports that they'd like to share? If not, we can move to subcommittee reports. And we do have one subcommittee. And
Mickey has her hand up.
Mickey,
Yeah, Tom, I thought you were going to give a overview of the stroll.
yeah, it's on the agenda if you
Oh,
see
it
it.
is, okay, okay. right.
I wanted to talk briefly about community communication. Is this the right place to do that?
So we probably, unless there's it's a particular information item from your work as a MAC member, we can do that in the public comment section at the end, if that's okay with you, Sue.
Okay.
All right. So Mickey, subcommittee report on the
Okay,
soon to be renamed illegal dumping committee.
yeah, we decided that to start out with, we would like to change the name of our subcommittee because I feel like it doesn't quite accurately depict the vision of what we want to do in our town, which is to clean up and to beautify our town. Illegal dumping, I think, might have a negative connotation. It's not very, it doesn't draw in people to say, oh, I want to be a part of illegal dumping efforts or anything. So we're talking about that we would like to change the name, and I'm not sure what the process for that is, but we would like to change it to, I believe it was a cleanup and beautification committee. So that's one thing, and maybe John, Joya, or Edgar might give us some guidance on how we go about changing that. And because like I said, our vision is not only to report illegal dumping and mitigate that problem, and litter, which is something that we're constantly involved with, but also a bigger vision on how we can, make our town more beautiful. And so, and that might encompass and draw in some new energy for people who might want to be thinking in terms of murals or signage and other things that we can do. I'm not sure if that would probably not involve a bigger vision, which is how do we attract other businesses, not just auto shops and service stores like that, but something that will really benefit the community. I think that's probably outside of what our committee is going to do, but maybe it's something that we can do in the MAC as well. Talk about our broader vision on how can we attract, other types of businesses that'll bring joy and, community to our community, aside from, like I said, just getting our cars fixed, our brakes fixed, our tires fixed, things like that, which seems to be what's drawing people to this town. I mean, the businesses that are coming here seem to be in that vein. But anyway, on another topic, we are excited that we are going to have a booth at the stroll, and we also want to be in the parade. And we are the green team is looking for people who have been involved in our cleanup efforts to march with us in the parade. And we want to have some fun with that and draw some attention and publicity and promotion to our efforts in that way, and then also at the stroll. So if you're interested in getting involved with us at the stroll, if you'd like to be in a parade and marching and doing what we're going to do, we have some fun ideas for that. Please put your email in there and let me know about that. Then we are also joining up and starting to plan with spawners to have our coastal cleanup day on September 24th, which is a week after the official one. However, coastal cleanup day really is supposed to be the whole month of September, and people can choose when they want to do it. And we're choosing to do it after the stroll, not only because there might be some mess at the stroll, but because we want to advertise and draw in new energy and people and participants for our cleanup day on the 24th, for which we will be asking the supervisor's office to help us get another 40 cubic yard dumpster for this effort, like we did for Earth Day, and help us put out the publicity for that. We're working on banners. We have our flyers just about designed and around town, and any help we can get publicizing that would be helpful. It's going to be starting at 9:30 in the morning on September 24th, where people can sign in, check in, and then borrow equipment as usual and go out into designated areas. We'll pick out a bunch of areas that people can sign up to clean
Okay.
up, and then come back to the library, where we will be having a volunteer appreciation event. Dynamite Dave and the Detonators have agreed to play once again at our event, and we are soliciting at this time donations of food and drinks that we can provide to our volunteers. And it should be a fun day, and I will have some speakers. I'm hoping that John Joya will come by and say a few words on the 24th, and maybe have some other participation from other groups that want to say something. We see it as it is kind of a community building activity aside from cleaning up our. So if you're interested, let us know. I think we're going to have a couple. I don't think we're going to have a bunch of different info tables this time. We've decided just to have a couple tables where community groups can put down their information pieces if they'd like to do that, and also network with people while they're there. And that's the whole event's going to go until 2:00 in the afternoon, and then that's it. And hope to make El Sobrante cleaner and more beautiful. That's always the goal. And we're also continuing with our third Saturday of the month cleanups. The next one is August 20th, and that's from 10 to noon. And come to the library once again and get your equipment and help us clean up an area that's been trashed, or if you have an area yourself that you think needs cleaning up, let us know, because we want to know that. And you know, sometimes people come with their ideas. They want to clean up around their area where they see, and we welcome that and we encourage that, because once you start seeing it, it's hard to unsee. And it's a good thing, you know, for people to get involved and start adopting areas nearby. But we are not going to have, I don't think we're going to have a third Saturday cleanup on September 17th, because that's big coastal cleanup day. People can join other efforts on that day go to that park that you said, Edgar, the Chamanga Park, Chamanda Park. I don't know where that is, but I'll look it up. And so, like I said, our cleanup day in September will be on the 24th. So I think I've covered most of it. Sue, do you think can you think of anything that I might have missed about that, or about
Well,
our
it's,
cleanup
we went,
day, or-
we had a great meeting yesterday, and I thought it was going to be like a committee meeting, but it was really fun with trying chants and, you know, ways of doing stuff. So it really will be fun. So please do come and join the little parade, and we'll have a booth out, and you can probably see that El Sobrante genuinely is cleaner than it was a couple of years ago. Thanks to Mickey's
Yeah, I
effort.
think-
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, it's not just my effort, but it's a lot of people who are joining in and taking responsibility and helping out and being a part of the effort to clean up our town. Melinda, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I actually would like to make a motion to change the name of the illegals dumping subcommittee to the cleanup and beautification subcommittee.
I will second that motion.
I third it.
Thank you, everybody.
Can we vote now?
Yes.
All right.
Great.
Okay, so it looks like unanimous approval of the change in name of the committee to the Cleanup and Beautification Committee.
Great.
Are we
Thank
all
you.
good with that? Congratulations, Mickey. Great work,
Woohoo.
you and your colleagues, and really like the new name.
Yeah, great. And I just want to remind people, they can always look at our website, keepelsobrantebeautiful.info, for all kinds of resources and updates and events. When we have like a cleanup of adopt a highway property.
We're
that
sorry, your
promotes
conference is
us.
ending now. Please hang up.
Ooh, okay. And you know, other events are listed on our keepelsobrantebeautiful.info. Chris, can you type that one in, or are you still here? Maybe he's not even here. Oh, there you are. You are there. And all kinds of resources on what we can do. And we also open up that website to other community organizations that are involved in cleanup or beautification or fire preparedness, things like that. We want to have all kinds of links in there so that people can go and find out all kinds of information. Chris?
Yeah,
Did you wanna say
although the committee can't really claim credit for it, but somebody repainted the sign coming into town. And we already
that
spoken
was
to his
the,
office of be putting some kind of sign on the other end of town, but not that they did that.
sorry about that.
Okay, that's all. I just wanted to point that out. I think the chamber may have had that done. I don't know who did.
Yeah, it was the Chamber of Commerce apparently that took that on, which is great. Yeah, it looks nice. George?
What?
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, George,
Uh,
did you say something?
No, but I did put a link in the chat for the information about the Shimada Friendship Park in Richmond for those who are interested. It's a nice park on the marina area. Nice views of the bay and the city. So,
All right.
Thank you. Chris, were you done? Or did you want to say something else?
Actually, just what you said remind me that I just wanted to, from what was just being said there, ask you then to Edgar about if people can get copies of the chat, because you put things in the chat and then unless mine doesn't let me save it, so maybe you can make that available. But I think you covered everything well. I just wanted to mention the sign.
Okay. So thank you. Great report, Mickey. If there are no further questions.
One other thing, maybe Edgar can mention that there's going to be a cleanup day for the West County or the unincorporated West County area?
So the regional, are you,
Yeah.
is this the regional cleanup? So the regional
Yeah.
cleanup, thank you, Mickey. So the regional cleanup day was set to be on was it the 18th of September, but it got postponed because just for administrative reasons. So I guess just for your folks' just awareness, Caltrans is the ones who's sponsoring the event, and they're providing an agreement with the county and with the cities. So that's kind of where we're at. As soon as that agreement gets signed, it looks like the signing of that won't be until after the September 18th date. So for that reason, the Public Works Department and the city of San Pablo, who were the two cities who were spearheading it, decided to postpone it. So as soon as I have more information, I will share it with you folks. But thank you for flagging that, Mickey.
Yeah, that's a good thing because September 18th is the stroll. So we want to conflict with that. And then we can publicize it at our National Cleanup Day event as well, if we have a date by then. So that's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for the report. And looks like we won't need to have the renaming of the committee on the agenda items. So I just thought I'd just say a few words about the El Sobrante stroll. Edgar, is any possibility of me sharing my screen?
Yes, I'll make you co-host and then you'll be able to. There you go.
Okay, let's see if I can do this. Everybody see the stroll flyer?
Yes.
Okay, so on this is our flyer. It's going out on social media, Facebook. It's on the chamber. It'll be on Nextdoor. We'll have banners going up around town in about, in a few days. And so on September 18th, we'll have the stroll. And that is, you can think of it as a giant street fair for El Sobrante, but really also for San Pablo and Richmond and Pinole and Hercules and all sort of our little family of West County communities. And really the kind of the meat of the stroll, the action is between 10 and 4. And at 11 a.m. we'll have a parade. And there'll be live music, there'll be food vendors, food trucks, as well as restaurants on the dam road. There will be crafting booths, nonprofits. We have about 100, I think about 150 booths so far. We expect to get more than that in the coming month, because that's kind of our big month for booth registration. And yeah, so all the information you need, if you have a booth and if you'd like to apply for a booth, the information is on the El Sobrante Chamber of Commerce website. And there's an application form, and let me see if I can share that. What should I stop share and reshare? Yeah, I'll just do that.
And just confirming, Thomas, we're sharing a booth with the El Sobrante Mag, right?
That's correct. Okay. So yeah, here's the application form. You can find it under the resources tab on the web page. And we would just love for people to come and enjoy the stroll. It's a going concern. Big upgrade to security this year. There'll be a huge involvement from the sheriff's department. They'll be actively patrolling up and down the dam road. The street is closed between Appian Way and El Portal intersections with the dam road. We'll have police cruisers there. We're going to have an actual real security company. So these are people in uniform who are trained to deal with the public, who will be manning the intersections. So it'll be more secure and safe than ever. That was kind of one of my priorities as kind of the stroll coordinator, but everything's falling into place and we just want to see you there and have a good time. I don't know what else to say. You'll enjoy the parade. There are horses. Usually the Sikh community comes out and has a dancing group. We've got, I mean, it's really cool. It's like, think of it as like Main Street as it was 70 years ago. It just has that feel to it. And yeah, there's a really cool bike show that occurs in the early afternoon. So people doing things with bikes that acrobatic that you wouldn't think are possible. And yeah, so come if you have a you know, a nonprofit or you're an artisan or something like that, apply for a booth, or otherwise just come and enjoy the stroll. Any questions about the stroll? Mickey?
Was one thing is that if it's going to be super hot, is there going to be anywhere there are some like little cooling stations somewhere with the misters?
Not that I know of. Hopefully it won't be super hot. Rather than super hot, what we've tend to confront when we've had the stroll is super windy. So it gets windy in the afternoons. So it's very possible that this year we won't have our arches up. We have these huge inflatable arches that say El Sobrante, usually up over the stroll, and the last one they almost got blown down, and you know, that wasn't good. So our enemy during the stroll tends to be wind, but that's a good idea. I think it'd be an interesting thing to look into, getting a mister. I'm going to note that down.
Thank you.
Any looks like George has a question.
So I take it that we're sharing the booth with
John Joya's office, with the supervisor's office. Excuse me, you're cutting in and out.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
I'm assuming our booth is already staffed.
Good, good point. Do we have any volunteers to staff the SMAC part of the booth?
Well, I mean, I'll happily go between the green team and the Mac.
I would love to, but I have health issues that may prevent me from attending that day. But it would be good. Perhaps we can get together by email and see if it, you know, at least we could have one person at the booth for at least a good chunk of the time.
I'm happy to do that. I'm pretty committed to making this a, yeah.
And I'm willing to come later. My
Great.
problem is it's Sunday, and Sundays are a very big day for me, and I have a lot of other responsibilities.
Definitely.
But I can come
Honestly,
a little
I don't think
later.
we need to have somebody there the whole time. You know,
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. We could just do shifts though, and I'd be willing to come on the late shift.
Okay, I'll do the early shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's a chance that they could be near where we are, we can like go back and forth between our booth and the Mac as well.
That would be wonderful.
So could you shoot me an email just with that request? And what I'll do is, I don't think we've finalized the exact placement of the booths yet. You know, we're still accruing applicants, and we won't finish that until you know, the end of the month. So if you could just send me an email, what I'll do is pass it on to Marie, and we'll see if we can get those two booths next to each other.
That'd be great, because then we could, like I said, we can help out there as well. And do you have any information on the parameters of the parade and what you can do in the parade, or how many people can be in a contingency in the parade or anything?
So
like
what
that?
I'm gonna do is I sent you a chat message with Jean Tapia's email. So Jean Tapia is the coordinator of the parade. So he's taking in all the applicants, and he would be able to answer your questions about how large your contingent can be and all of that.
Okay.
I mean, I
thanks.
don't think there's a formal rule about that, because I
Well,
mean, we have whole schools, you know, marching in the parade.
Oh,
So if you had
wow.
5 people in your contingency, I mean, as long as it, you know, just wasn't something that was so completely outlandish that, you know,
Yeah.
people were falling to the floor, their mouths agape, you know, I think it's fine. Come dressed as trees maybe, or
we basically, it's going to be kind of a little bit informal. We're going to all wear vests, you know, the safety vests, so people can identify us.
perfect.
And carry our grabbers and a bucket or things like that, and maybe
Come up with some special dance that. Yeah, so
that's kind of, but maybe a megaphone. Can we have? I want to know if we can have a megaphone, because we're going to be doing some chanting along the way.
that's fine. I mean,
Yeah, we were talking about drums for sure.
Yeah, and
Okay.
drum. We do have a couple drummers.
I'm
you know,
sending
that-
you, I'm sending you Jean's email.
Yeah, talk to Jean. Jean will fill you in on those details.
Will do. Thank you.
It's coming now, Mickey. Just look at your chat,
Okay.
and there it is. So further questions about the stroll? So we look forward to seeing everybody there.
I
Okay,
think
so
we'll have another meeting before then anyway, right?
yeah, that's correct.
Good.
So let's see, next agenda item. Sue wanted to talk about the noise issue in El Sobrante.
I think
Or
I
that
already covered
We
that.
did. We
Okay.
discussed that.
So it's adequately discussed, nothing further to discuss on that. So now we come to the end. Last item is public comment. So these are items that were not on the agenda, 2 minutes per speaker. Are there any public comments from members of the council or the audience?
Me. Got my hand up.
Okay, go ahead, George.
Okay, well, you know, we always know about Pride Month being primarily in June. However, Oakland takes a different tack, and there actually will be 2 separate and distinct Pride events, parades, festivals, etc. First one on Sunday, September 4th, Labor Day weekend, that's Oakland Pride. And the parade starts at 10:30. The festival runs until 7. It's centered primarily on Broadway between 14th and 20th Streets, very accessible by BART. And I will be in the parade on behalf of my employer, and then I'll be staffing our employer's booth at that parade. So if you have a chance on that weekend, you don't have anything planned, you can come by, enjoy yourself, say hi to me. Or if you don't want to do that, you can come say hi to me on 9/11, because there's another entity called Oakland Pride Fest. It's having its own celebration, basically in the same area at approximately the same time. I won't be there on my employer, but I will be there on behalf of the parental umbrella from my union. I'll be in that booth. So please stop by and say hello on those 2 days. If you either one or both, if you have a chance, it'll be nice to see folks in person. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, George. Any other items for public comment? Nikki? You
I
need to,
have a question. Do you know if the Sherwood Forest neighborhood is going to have their Labor Day garage sales, yard sales this year?
Yes, yes.
What day is that? What's the date?
It's always on Saturday of Labor Day weekend. And I think that's September 3rd this year.
It is September 3rd.
And
Okay.
yes, we're having it. And if you want to donate things to the Good Table, we do a pay what you can version of the garage sale. And we also sell some of our aprons and hats and things. So stop by our little casa here on Robin Hood Drive if you want to pick up pay what you can items. And so yes, it's happening.
Where can we find out more about that, Melinda?
Oh, I have no idea. It's only happened for 40 years and they don't even make a flyer. People just show up. They know it's Saturday, 9 to 4 on Labor Day weekend.
Kind of a word of
Where is
mouth.
it?
It's a word of mouth thing.
Sherwood Forest. It's a whole neighborhood.
Robin Hood
Drive,
Okay,
South
Susan, I'll send you my address. You can come to my house, see what it is, and then you'll see how it is.
I'm
But I
sorry, I'm
think
just trying to put it into my little
Oh,
neighborhood.
I understand, but I'm telling you that this is one of those things. This is a real El Sobrante kind of thing.
All right, I'm there.
They've been doing this a long time and they don't advertise. They
No need
just
to.
assume you don't know, you don't know.
You can, and you could get some great deals. I've gotten
I'll
lots
let
of
you know
stuff there. It's all the streets and, like between Olinda and
Castro Road.
Castro Ranch,
Castro
and
Ranch.
Dam Road, and yeah, and Valley View. It's
right
a
in the middle.
pretty good sized neighborhood and most people participate in some form or fashion. So it is one of the biggest yard sales I have ever been to, short of the thing that happens in Point Richmond, which is insane.
And El Cerrito does it too.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
okay,
Anyway,
all right.
but you can
so-
come to my house if you want to see it.
All right, well, thanks for letting us know about that. Seems like a fun way to spend a few hours on a weekend. And maybe sort of the reverse Marie Kondo thing and accumulate some stuff that might spark your joy. All right. So I think we've reached the end of the meeting. And I just want to thank everybody for participating. And it was a really fun, informative meeting. And we'll see y'all next month.
Thank you.